media coming under fire for allegedly suggesting that Nicola Sturgeon was the new Margaret Thatcher. How had we done that? We had printed a picture of Nicola Sturgeon wearing a jacket which was the same shade of blue as one once worn by Margaret Thatcher. The National has recently been accused of undermining the SNP campaign to win control of Scottish councils by reporting that they were likely to succeed. That seemingly is our attempt to persuade voters to stay indoors and not go to the polls, and thereby aiding the election campaign of Labour. The National, the Sunday Herald, Bella Caledonia, Common Space all came under fire during the Holyrood election campaign for the sin of giving space to pro-indie parties such as Rise and the Greens, because that we were accused of allegedly encouraging voters to give their second votes to those parties and therefore eroding the SNP majority in the SNP Parliament. This is a movement. This is a wide, diverse movement. We have to support every part of that movement. To be honest, I'm not madly bothered with such criticism. I mean, even criticism from within the Yes movement, we're big enough to take it, honestly, and people are entitled to their views and entitled to express them. But people outside our movement, when they look at that, they're thinking, what do people need to do to be accepted by some elements within the Yes movement? If our newspaper managements look at it and say, right, if we support independence, we're still going to get these people attacking us. We're risking alienating our pro-union readers, and there's no guarantee that pro-yes readers are going to come to us. It's not great encouragement to litter social media with accusations that the only two indie supporters in mainstream media are actually fifth columnists who tell their readers to vote SNP but really mean vote anybody but the SNP. Newspapers are a business. They are not going to support independence if they're going to lose readers. But let's realise also the importance of nurturing the pro-indie media we have. Let's make sure the National reaches its sales potential. Let's make sure that Common Space can continue to provide a healthy alternative to traditional news sources. Let's do everything we can to help Bella Caledonia flourish in the future. Let's do so not just because we're all one movement and we should support one another, although we are and we should. Let's do so not just because it's the right thing to do, although it is most definitely the right thing to do. Let's do so to send a message to other media publishers. Let's tell them that there's more than a moral and just case for supporting independence. There's a sound business case too. And let's do that, because right now everything is about changing people's minds, about persuading them to change sides, about making the switch from no to yes. And so it's important that as well as supporting and nurturing our own media, our old and new, we have to make sure we're not just looking to ourselves. I'm a national man. I'm national man through and through. I launched the paper. I love it still. The team that creates it is an amazing, fantastic team. But I have to hope that in IndieRef2, other newspapers make the leap from no to yes. I'm pretty certain that some newspapers will adopt a very different line in IndieRef2 than they did in 2014. Daily Record seems to be making a habit of urging Nicola Sturgeon to call a second independence referendum every second week. As I said, I'm not ashamed of my love of the National, and this is probably an appropriate time to plug the free keyrings it's giving away. The free 7-day digital subscription service it's offering you. I'm urging you to do that because it's important to me and it's important to this movement that the National succeeds. But if another newspaper joins our side, I'd swallow hard and I'd welcome it on side. Because when it comes to changing sides to yes, whether it's individual voters or Scottish media companies, there's no room for resentments at decisions made in 2014. There's no room for I told you so's and what took you so longs. There's only one thing that's necessary, and that's the warm hand of friendship. That's a huge challenge. And I know that this movement, this great, open, hugely invigorating movement, will rise to it. Thank you very much.
And Nicola Sturgeon is a new Daily Record columnist. Interesting. Okay, before I hand over to Leslie, who I think is going to, and I think it's a great idea, let some of your voices input into the end of a microphone, the right end of a microphone in the next half an hour, 40 minutes. Just 3 headlines, just take a minute. So from Craig, the lesson is strategically that we have to stare the demographics of independence in the face. They are hard, they are tough, and we have to drill down into the more difficult bits, whether that requires focus groups or extra polling, but we have to do that. Stuart's is saying we have to learn from what Yes Scotland got right and from what it got wrong, because Noah will be much more powerful and professional next time, and we have to be both super clever because of their power, and we kind of have to live on people's doorsteps. That's his conclusion. And then finally, Richard is asking you to embrace, nay, respect your local and national Scottish journalist, and that's not just about being nice to them, that's actually a smart move. And just before I hand over to Leslie, there's been lots of funding pleas made for Commonweal, which I think is a great idea, but the idea that we need an umbrella organisation that's not a party organisation that is able to take the many tribes of independence forward, that sounds to me like the Scottish Independence Convention. I don't think there's anything else on the horizon. So could you fund the Scottish Independence Convention as well, if you have any spare change? And not only that, finally, Indie Live, who are indefatigable in making sure, there they are at the back, with a big cheer. I love them, they just get on with it, and they make our movement available to the wider world. So please support them as well. Okay, I'm going to hand you over to the Grand Dame of Scottish Progress, Leslie Riddoch.
Well, this is it's actually overwhelming to be standing at the front here. It's one of these things that if you're actually a speaker in any event like this, you get to see something that none of you see sitting there, and that's all of your faces. And if you could channel the energy, optimism, attention, rapt attention, even at this post-lunch, fatigue time of the day even, that's sitting in this room, we would move Scotland on so far. And actually, one of the things that I've always believed in so strongly is the capacity of the Scots people to do anything. We have the capacity within every estate, every community, every gathering. And what's really struck me today is that when we take time to showcase that expertise, it sits here, it communicates, it stimulates, it hits the button, does it not? Over and over again. So, without no further ado, I appreciate there's been so-called interactive sessions, and now that Robin's on his way to Berlin, I can say that probably wasn't as interactive as many people expected, but a blooming tour de force nonetheless. So the next point is to get a bit interactive. I've got too many bits here. Craig is the nearest person, and he's going to help. There are some points about money. Absolutely right about Independence Live. These guys are all volunteers. They trail all over Scotland the whole time to do the job the BBC should be doing. And if the new controller of the BBC Scotland, Donalda McKinnon, is listening at some point, I think the points made about not having knee-jerk hostility are absolutely timely and true. But there has to be a point where I think the BBC reconsiders what makes news, who makes news, who's allowed to make news, and what kind of venues and subjects make news. Because look at this today. We could have filled this place twice over, and that's hugely significant. So these guys come to do all sorts of events, and please, if you've got anything you can chuck in this bucket at the end, I know there'll be probably competing buckets, but that one certainly deserves a bit of a... Now... moving, that means we have to move all the cameras round. there was about 8 significant propositions there. Each of them. I mean, that one at the start, actually, from Craig, why everybody a bit kind of scattered with the number of different ones, is